Hello everybody and welcome back to the final episode of the NASCAR Heat 4 career mode before NASCAR Heat 5 releases coming up here in just a few days. So I decided to do a 100% length race here in Homestead, Miami for the Cup Series, which you guys are going to see very shortly. But first up, we have the trucks and the Xfinity races to get through now, as we're going to jump straight into things here for the Final Four race in the Truck Series now for the Ford EcoBoost 200 at Homestead Miami Speedway, where I decided to put Jeff Gordon into the truck for us here today in Miami to see if he could get our team the first Truck Series championship of our owner career. The hope was that it would happen, but unfortunately just herded down towards the midfield, so it wasn't looking good right off the bat when Harrison Burton actually started in the pole position here as he came through turns 1 and turns 2, getting very aggressive right off the bat, going 3 wide up between 3 of Jordan Anderson and Austin Wayne Self as well as he went down this back straightaway here on his first and opening lap. But things were not going well at all in this race for us here, unfortunately, and we come to a little bit later where Jeff was just struggling to work his way through the traffic, and it was already looking like we were not going to be able to get our first Truck Series championship here, unfortunately, today in Miami now, as Jeff was doing everything he could to move forwards there, making some 3 wide moves. I think he even went 4 wide at one point there as he was getting towards the back of Stuart Friesen, who was in the Final Four, but it just didn't happen here today in Miami as we came through towards the final moments of this race here as he was battling Stuart Friesen now at the line side by side as they went down into turns 1, this being now the final lap, and you can see the leader was now Brett Moffitt at this point, and he was also in that Final Four if you remember correctly, so it was just a lost cause unfortunately at this point here in the race now, as it was just nothing to give at now on this final lap now, as we were well aware we were going to come up short of the Truck Series Championship, unfortunately, as Jeff Gordon goes down through turns 3 and turn 4 for the final time. He's going to exit turn 4, just losing ground to the trucks up ahead. A very disappointing night here, unfortunately, in Miami as Jeff crosses the line to finish we're not well outside, but outside the top 10 there in P12, so coming up short of the championship, unfortunately. So very disappointing to say the least, but we have to now focus on the Xfinity Series here, where we have one more Xfinity Series race to do. And hopefully we can come out on top of that one. It's going to be, once again, really tough to do that there, to see Jeff actually got last in the Final Four in general now, as we do come to now the Ford EcoBoost 300 at Homestead, Miami, where we had subscriber Christopher Fain in the car now. As in NASCAR Heat 5 career mode, I will be redoing the subscribers in the cars. We will still have subscribers in the cars once I start owning a team. I will be starting in the Truck Series, unfortunately, and we'll have to do that grind all over again now, as we, like I said, though, we'll be redoing the subscriber system. Basically, I'm just going to have everybody re-enter so that I can get everybody's name once again back in the system, and obviously I'll re-explain everything at that point in just a few days for NASCAR Heat 5 career mode, though. But Christopher actually started at the back of the field, so he immediately had a lot of work to do, unfortunately now, as obviously our Xfinity team got eliminated very early in the playoffs, so we had no chance here at a championship, unfortunately, now, as he was passing the 10 of Elliott Sadler now as he went down into turns 1. They're making it 3 wide down into the corner there as they were going 3, 4 wide here through turns 1 and out of turns 2 now, as it was Ross Chastain getting right on the back of Christopher there as he got loose on the exit of turns 2. Would hang on to the car, thankfully, now as he went down the back straightaway here as he went down into turns. So you can just see how grouped up everybody was. Christopher going 4 wide right there through turns 3 and turn 4. So it was a pretty intense, action-packed start, and then he would just slowly start to move his way forward here, passing traffic, going 3 wide up the middle there as he went down into turns 1, and then we came through a little bit later. He had gotten to the back now of Justin Allgaier as he went down into turns 1 and turns 2. Now this being the later stages of the race here in Miami. Like I said, obviously we don't have a chance at this championship, unfortunately, so we were just kind of in it for the fun and just see what we could do here in the final race of the season. Now as they went down into turns 3 here, this being the final lap in Miami as it came through turns 3 and turns 4, 3 wide up the inside of the 78 and the 7, but it wasn't going to be enough as it came through out of turns 4, so Christopher Fain is going to come through to cross the line just behind Justin Allgaier there to finish in the 20th position. So a rough way to end our Xfinity Series career as well as the Truck Series. Now, as we have still the big race at Homestead Miami coming up, as Cole Custer, though, would win the race here in Homestead Miami, and the championship belonged to Tyler Reddick. Now, as Cole Custer missed out on the Final Four. But now we are ready to go into the Cup Series here for the Final Four in Miami, and we're going to hand it over to Jeff Gluck.
40 drivers entered this season with hopes of fighting for a championship. After 35 races, just 4 drivers still have that dream to go fight for a title today in Homestead, Miami. Denny Hamlin goes in today as the clear favorite, an astonishing 10 wins on the season, and he's been the dominant driver of the year, so anything short of a championship would be a disappointment. Hamlin has come up short of a championship many times, including his last 2 Final Four appearances, most notably last season when he gave the championship away to his Joe Gibbs Racing teammate Kyle Busch. Hamlin was adamant in the media center this weekend that the 11 team will be champions at the end of the day, and all odds point in favor of Hamlin. But given past Final Four appearances, he very well may come up short once again. Gary Owen comes in as the favorite behind Hamlin with 4 wins on the season, most recently at Martinsville, where he had a dominant performance. Owen has come up short in his Final Four appearances in the past, but is confident in his chances today. As Owen said in the media center, quote, "I've got lots of experience at Miami, and we've had extra time to prepare compared to others, so I'm ready to deliver." Owen's teammate Kurt Busch snuck his way quietly into the Final Four to get both Chip Ganassi racing cars in the championship fight. Kurt hasn't won a title in over a decade, and this will be his first ever Final Four appearance, but he was confident in the media center about his chances, also noting that the number 1 team is probably weakest of the Final Four this season. But Kurt said he's ready to put a show on in Miami with hopefully a second Cup title to seal the deal. And the final driver in the championship round is Brad Keselowski. It's been since 2012 where we've seen him win a title, but Keselowski's had a consistent season, putting him in a spot to fight for the championship. Keselowski said, quote, "Whatever happens, happens. I'm ready to go fight, but there's so many variables that can go against us, and we need to be on top of it." So will anyone be able to beat Denny Hamlin in the final championship race at Homestead, Miami? We're about to find out.
A big thanks to Jeff Gluck for doing that for us now, as we are ready to go into qualifying here for the final time of our Cup Series career. A track here in my Homestead Miami that I really enjoyed coming to. So always, like I said, excited to come to this mile and a half now, as this will be our final qualifying attempt. We've had only 2 poles in our Cup Series career, unfortunately, now, as we've never been the greatest qualifier, but obviously we're a lot better of a racer. And at the end of this episode, I am going to show my stats as well as the other driver stats in this game, because as you guys know, I have kept track of driver stats throughout the whole NASCAR Heat 4 career mode now, as we came through down this back straightaway, just looking for all the time possible. Denny Hamlin, myself, Kurt Busch, Brad Keselowski, all inside that Final Four now, as we look to get the best of all of them. Hamlin, the clear favorite coming into this race here in Homestead, Miami. We know that now as we come through down this front straightaway, out of turn for a decent lap here, 32.192, and we qualify P10 here for Homestead, Miami. So definitely a little bit of work cut out for us, but it's a 100% length race, so we know plenty of time for things to go wrong and things to go right. Daniel Suarez, though, on the pole as we're ready to go green here for the final race of the NASCAR Heat 4 career mode now, as you see the rest of the order there on your screen. Now, as hopefully at the end of the day we will come out here in P1 against our competitors. But before we take the green flag here really quick, we're going to send it over to another special guest of my good friend Matt Chaffee.
Welcome to Homestead Miami Speedway as we get ready for the Ford EcoBoost 400. The NASCAR Cup Series made its inaugural start at Homestead Miami back in 1999, as Tony Stewart would become the first Cup Series winner at the track. In 2002, Homestead would become the place of Ford Championship Weekend, where all 3 of NASCAR's premier series would end their seasons and crown a champion. After a new track configuration, several generations of stock cars, and championship systems, we fast forward to the present, where tonight we will crown another NASCAR Cup Series champion in Southern Florida.
Welcome to Homestead Miami Speedway for the Ford EcoBoost 400. Tonight, NASCAR will crown the next Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series champion. Over 40 drivers started this season with high hopes and big dreams. But after a long season, only 4 drivers still have a shot at the title.
All right, thank you, Matt Chaffee and Rick Allen. Now as we're ready to go green here for the Ford EcoBoost 400, the final race of our Cup Series career now, or at least in NASCAR Heat 4 now, as we will be starting here on the outside lane from P10. Eric Jones on my inside. It's myself, Denny Hamlin, Kurt Busch, our teammate, and Brad Keselowski in the final four now, as the final race of the NASCAR Heat 4 career mode is officially underway here as we start, like I said, from the 10th position. You immediately see, though, a lot of laps here today in Homestead, Miami. So plenty of time for things to go wrong, but as well plenty of time for things to go right. So the goal here was to be a little conservative here. There was no reason to just be overly aggressive now as we go down this backstretch just behind the four of Kevin Harvick here as we go down towards turn 3. So obviously you're going to see me running up towards the wall here as this race goes on. I think it's going to be the line I'm most comfortable with. In the past, I've tried to make the bottom work, and it just doesn't seem to work for me very well. So, like I said, you're definitely going to see me up by the wall as we come through to complete the first lap of 267. So we only have 266 laps to go. Obviously, this video is going to be a little bit longer than usual. Going to be probably around the 50-minute mark now, as I'm going obviously edit out the non-exciting parts of this race now, as we were side by side with one of our final four competitors, our teammate of Kurt Busch there, as we went down into turns 3, and we come through now on the end of lap 3 here. You see 3 wide racing there, the pole winner of Suarez quickly fading throughout the field here as we go down into turns 1. It was Brad Keselowski, Denny Hamlin running 1-2. Both of those drivers are 2 of our final 4 competitors now as we come through out of turns 2, right behind the 9 of Chase Elliott. Going to give him a push down the backstretch. We would get clear of Suarez, who actually got into my left rear, trying to give me a little hook there as we went down into turns 3, but thankfully we would get through it without an issue now, as he would look to the inside of myself there through the center of turns 3 and turn 4, but he just didn't quite have anything for me. And Daniel Suarez, I was looking at as the biggest obstacle right here now, as we came through though on lap 6. We had gotten to the outside of Chase Elliott, and then we would look to the outside as well of the 31 of Tyler Reddick. I should also mention I did not show any replay cameras in the first stage, simply due to the immersion. Obviously, this game, when it's daytime at the start of the race, but nighttime at the end of the race, the replay cameras still on the daytime turn to night. So I decided to wait to show the replay cameras to the second stage now, as we would now run down Kyle Busch and Kurt Busch here on lap 10. Brad Keselowski was actually starting to pull away. Denny Hamlin still running P2 though, and as we came through a lap later now in lap 11, we got to the outside of Kyle Busch, and the 2-time champion of Kyle Busch here, as he won last season in our career mode to get that second Cup Series championship now as we go down towards turn 3. Kurt Busch all the way on the bottom. So currently, after 10 complete laps, we are the worst of the final 4 drivers right now. So definitely not the biggest confidence booster, but we now get to the outside of our teammate of Kurt Busch here as we go down into turns 1. Now, is it's obviously a 50% chance of Chip Ganassi Racing winning the championship here today, but hopefully we are the one that brings it home to Chip Ganassi Racing, as this team has never won a championship in the Cup Series, and we look to change that today. But we would now drive away from Kurt Busch. We came through to lap 16. We had run down Martin Truex Jr., Kevin Harvick, 2 drivers you expect to be in the final 4. They got eliminated in the round of 12, surprisingly now, as they never even had a chance to compete for the final 4 now as you come through out of turns 2, heading down this backstretch on the 16th lap to the outside still of Martin Truex, kind of getting a little bit stuck here around Truex and Harvick now, and that was allowing Keselowski and Hamlin to pull away, but Keselowski at this point definitely had the fastest car on track. We come through on lap 21, still battling with Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr. and whatnot as we went down towards turn 3. We ended up getting past Harvick into the corner now as we were trying to run down Eric Jones there, as we were actually, I think, 3 wide here with Martin Truex Jr. and Kevin Harvick as we came through out of turns 4 here, heading down this front straightaway right on the back of Eric Jones to give him a little bit of a push now as I went down through on lap 23. We sliced to the inside now of Eric Jones, and we are now going to try and get that final podium, you could call it, position away, but the inside just doesn't quite work for myself, and that allows Jones to actually power back around the outside here. So immediately that's when I realized that I was probably going to be way better off running that top lane here today in Homestead, Miami now as we go down into turns 3 back up towards that wall, because like I said, I just knew that the inside wasn't going to work because we also lost the spot to Kevin Harvick. But already about a quarter of the way through stage 1, and you can see we were working our way through lap traffic, which brought myself, Jones, and Harvick right up to the front 2 runners of Hamlin and Keselowski. So Hamlin actually got the lead from Brad Keselowski after all that lap traffic got in the way now, as we were still battling with Eric Jones at this point, but we would clear him down the back straightaway and then get to the back of Brad Keselowski now on lap 25. Eric Jones, Kevin Harvick, they were still in the picture behind us now as we still run in that third position here as we go down towards turns 3. Denny Hamlin back up front still and up to the top by the wall now as Keselowski kind of gets stuck there behind the 66 of Joey Gase, and that allows myself to move into the second position here down the front straightaway and set our sights on the front position, led right now by Denny Hamlin. Keselowski would stick with myself now as we came through to lap 27, getting through this whole mess of people. Cody Ware decides he's actually going to get down on the inside in front of me now as we have to find our way past him through turns 1 and out of turn 2, so we would take that move and get past him, and then we would run down Denny Hamlin, who was stuck now behind the 00 of Landon Castle now as we exit turns 2, looking to the outside of Hamlin as we go down this back straightaway side by side for the lead here in Miami, including a battle with our championship contender of Denny Hamlin as we come through turn 3. He's now stuck behind the 51 here of BJ McLeod as we exit turns 4. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead. One of the lap cars in the mix, but we pass Hamlin down the front straightaway and clear him for the lead on lap 31. So now looking very strong here as we are out front in Homestead, Miami, but Hamlin battles back up the inside and actually through turns 1 and 2 drives right on past me, but we will have the momentum down the backstretch to get once again alongside the 11 of Denny Hamlin here as we go down towards the turn 3. So we just kind of get in this little scrap right here with Denny Hamlin, but it was pretty clear he had the better speed at this point, so he retook the lead, but then got stuck again behind the 34 of Michael McDowell. So I now slice down to the inside and we take the lead back, but this time we have a little bit more of a gap to Hamlin. That would allow me to stay ahead now as we come through out of turns 2 on lap 39, going up between the 47 and the 36, and Hamlin would continue to get stuck behind lap traffic. That would allow Brad Keselowski to run Hamlin down and take over P2 as we came through to lap 52 in the first stage. At this point, as we're going to go through into the Visor Cam here. As you see, something new on the channel. We're going to have logos now coming in NASCAR Heat 5, and you can actually see a little bit of a sneak peek at the new channel logo right there with the Visor Cam logo on your screen now. We're going to have a Crank It Up segment in this race, and it's actually going to be called Amped Up now as we go down into turns 1. Or actually, no, it's just Amped, not Amped Up now as we go down through turns 1 and turns 2, leading the way over second place, like I said, which now belongs to Brad Keselowski. Hamlin has dropped out of that top 2, and all of a sudden it looks like his speed has been fading here in the recent amount of laps in this first stage as we go down through turns 3 and turns 4. Just getting our way through lap traffic. Everything right now at this point was going pretty good. I honestly don't think we have the fastest car here in Miami. I think that belongs to Brad Keselowski or Denny Hamlin, so we were just kind of in the right position though. We come through on lap 56, and we had opened up the gap a little bit more to Brad Keselowski, who was struggling to get through lap traffic, but then we get a caution, and you're not going to believe who it was for. It was for Denny Hamlin, who is now out of this race. Denny Hamlin, a Final Four contender, 10 wins on the season, is out here in Homestead, Miami. I could not find a replay of how he crashed, but my guess is he blew a tire or an engine, and he is now out of Homestead, Miami, and cannot win the championship after an incredible season. 10 wins. No one even came close to him now as we come into this race with like 4, and that's the closest anyone has gotten to him. But we would pit for 2 cans of fuel, 4 tires. We can't focus on Denny Hamlin. That's obviously a good thing for us, but we still have Keselowski, who has appeared to have more speed than Hamlin today here in Miami, so we know we still have our work cut out for us now as the green flag is back out, but a big shakeup with Denny Hamlin being out of this race. Very unfortunate for the JGR driver. He's deserving of so many championships in my opinion, and unfortunately, even in the video game, something always goes wrong for Denny Hamlin's chances at a championship now as we come through turns 1 and 2 on this restart. At this point though, only 21 laps to go in stage 1, but obviously so much to go just in this race in general now, as we just have a little bit over 200 laps to go. But I went down into turn 3, jumped back up to the top lane, and that ended up being the wrong move. Eric Jones was able to drive right past me on the inside without a single problem. Keselowski, Almirola, they were up here right on my inside as well, as I actually fight back to the outside of Eric Jones down into turns 1, doing everything I can to be able to get back out in front of him, but definitely just lacking the speed in the car on the short run. At least I think we definitely have a better long run car than a short run car, and hopefully in the final stage when everything matters the most, everything will stay green now as we go through turns 3. Keselowski to the bottom of the track, trying to take over the front position from Eric Jones, and he would do so with ease. Keselowski successfully completes the pass over Eric Jones. Behind us, our teammate Kurt Busch, the other Final Four contender, just didn't seem to have the speed to contend with myself, Denny Hamlin, and Keselowski, but now just myself and Keselowski, and Brad would actually drive away from the field here as we came through on lap 69. Nice at this point here as we exit turns 2, just behind Keselowski, Truex, Kevin Harvick on my inside, and we would just kind of continue in this battle with these 3 other drivers, and we came through to just 11 to go in the first stage, trying my best to actually get past these guys and see if I have the speed to run Keselowski down, but it just wasn't working out at this point here as I couldn't quite escape Logano, Harvick, or Eric Jones now as we go through turn 3, but Kurt Busch, our teammate, he was falling way behind, so at this point, I already looked at it as the championship was going to be coming down to myself and Brad Keselowski, so we're going to hope that we can get the best of them here when it matters the most, as we came through just 5 laps to go here in stage 1, still in the battle here with Harvick, Logano, and Eric Jones. We were now running though up in P4 on the outside of Martin Truex Jr. here as we come through to cross the line with 4 to go in stage 1, doing what I can to have a chance to pass the Ford car of Kevin Harvick as we go down in turns 1. Just behind myself, it was Logano running that top lane, but we would clear Martin Truex Jr. as we finally came to the white flag here in stage 1 now, as we had Brad Keselowski, who had just completely checked out from the field, and definitely my concern level at this point was a little bit higher, but at the same time I know we still have a long ways to go. Anything could go wrong for the 2 car or for myself, but we also have time to adjust on the car if need be. Now as we go down this back straightaway into turns 3 for the final time here in stage 1, Keselowski got through that lap traffic up ahead with no problems at all, and we just don't quite have the speed here to get Harvick at the end of stage 1. So we're going to come through to cross the line still in a very solid 3rd position. So definitely cannot complain about that. Definitely very satisfied, but still just not enough so far, but hopefully we will have the speed here in the 2nd stage to compete with Brad Keselowski for a potential championship here now, as I would love to lead some laps, but we obviously led some, and we definitely know we have a car capable on the long run to be very competitive, so I'm just kind of hoping we don't have many short runs now, as we would take 2 cans of fuel, 4 tires, get ready to go green here for the 2nd stage, and I made a slight wedge adjustment, and we would actually come out in P2 here side by side with Brad Keselowski for the restart, but I get completely caught sleeping on the restart here for the start of stage 2. Keselowski already gone, Harvick even passes me as well, as that was an absolutely atrocious attempt of a restart here from myself in Homestead, Miami. Very disappointed with myself on that one now. As you can see, the sun has started to fall. We're now down into the nighttime racing now as you head down this back straightaway behind Eric Jones. Now as replay cameras back on your screen now, as it's not a massive lighting change at this point. I do hope that that lighting change gets fixed in the NASCAR Heat 5 replay mode. I'm not sure if it will, but we actually hit the wall there through turns 3 and turns 4 for the first time today. We knocked the wall down, but no damage out of it. So it's so far so good. Now as we're 3 behind with Martin Truex Jr. there and Ryan Blaney as we go down into turns 1. Now as Keselowski already trying to check out and actually clip the wall again through turns 1 and 2. So all of a sudden I'm making mistakes. We're falling towards the back part of the top 10 now as we're 3 wide with Joey Logano, Alex Bowman there. As we go down the back straightaway towards turn 3, Blaney, Truex side by side as they enter turn 3. Keselowski, he was running the top lane at this point, but I started to battle my way back. Now we pass Logano, Alex Bowman, Ryan Blaney, we pass Martin Truex Jr. and climb up into P5. Then we get to the outside of Eric Almirola here on lap 4 of the 2nd stage. Truex still in the mix as we were 3 wide for that top 5 position here to get up now into P4 down the back stretch into turns 3, as Keselowski though wasn't quite just checking out away from the field. He still had a little bit of pressure from Kevin Harvick and the Stewart Haas number 4, as well as the 20 of Eric Jones for Joe Gibbs Racing. And if you remember, Joe Gibbs, racing driver of Eric Jones, just barely missed out on a chance to compete for a championship here today in Homestead, Miami. So far in the NASCAR Heat 4 career mode, this has definitely been Eric Jones' best season here as we go down into turn 3. Still struggling to pass these drivers. We were still behind Truex and Joey Logano now on lap 8 of the 2nd stage, but I sliced to the inside of Truex. A very solid run on the exit of turns 2 as we go down into turns 3, and we're going to slide up just in front of the JGR driver and hang on for P5 now, as we are now setting our sights on the back of Joey Logano now, as the caution would actually come out though for the 2nd time here today, and this would force a restart. This time, once again, I could not find what brought out the caution. I couldn't find out what brought out any cautions here today, but we would not have to come to the pit lane, so we would get ready to go right back in to the action here in Homestead Miami Speedway. Now as the green flag once again is out here on lap 12, hitting lap 13 of the 2nd stage, as we're going to go in to the AMP segment. I'll see you guys in just a minute.
Still there? Still there. Got one peeking inside. You got room. You're clear there. Inside. You got room.
All right, there was our AMP segment. I hope you guys like that. Obviously, it's just a little spin-off of Crank It Up that you see on like the Fox broadcast in the real world NASCAR. Now, as we came through, putting the pressure on Eric Jones there after that restart here, looking to the outside of him down this front straightaway, and now we would come through to take over P3 as we go down into turns 1. Harvick, Keselowski side by side for the lead. Keselowski looking for his first championship since the 2012 season now as he come through out of turns 2. Keselowski has had the speed and the potential to win championships in the Heat 4 career mode, but has never quite been able to pull it off. Kevin Harvick, same situation, surprisingly. He's never won a championship in the Heat 4 career mode now, so he obviously hasn't won since the 2014 season. Now he's not even in the Final Four, of course. Now as we go down into turn 3, though, fighting with Kevin Harvick, who is on my inside. We will get clear of him, though, and take over P2. Now on lap 27, putting the pressure on Brad Keselowski. So the car was definitely starting to come in now at this point as we're going to come through out of turns 2 and look to the outside of the one-time Cup Series champion, as we want to make it known that we are here to put on a fight with Brad Keselowski to win our first Cup Series championship here, and what is our last chance at winning a Cup Series championship as we come through turns 3 and out of turns 4, side by side for the lead with Keselowski as you head down the front straightaway at the line. Keselowski credited with leading the lap just barely. Harvick ready to pounce on something if myself and Keselowski come together, but I was just playing it easy at this point, you know, no point in really pushing the car too hard as we come through turns 1 and out of turns 2, though I did still want to lead this race really bad. And now down the backstretch we have the edge over Brad Keselowski here as we go down towards turn 3, clear for maybe just a moment, but I did not really cut down on him because I just did not want to be on that bottom lane here in Homestead, because we knew earlier we've made one pass on the bottom so far, and then we tried another pass on Eric Jones even earlier in the race, and it just did not quite work. The car just kind of slips and slides, so I was way more comfortable being up here by the wall, which is often where you saw the 42 car running in the pass at Homestead, Miami. Now as we come through out of turns 2, so we know we have the speed here to contend for the lead, and down the backstretch we finally clear Keselowski into turns 3. So we would now start to continue this battle here as we came through on lap 36, getting towards lap traffic. I actually get into the wall again for like the 3rd time this stage and completely throw the lead away. Now as we damage the right side of the car quite a bit now as we come through to lap 42 of the stage, right back though to Keselowski, who is once again starting to struggle to get through the lap traffic. So that brings myself right back into the mix here as we came through turns 1 and out of turns 2. Just got to keep out of the wall. I've made a lot of mental mistakes at this point. At the time I was recording this, it was probably about 2 a.m. now as the caution once again comes out here in Homestead a few laps later. So we would be pitting this time though for 2 cans of fuel, 4 tires. I didn't really want to adjust on the car too much because I was pretty happy with where it was at, but I was just really hoping that we could get a long green flag run like that again here as we're ready to go green on the restart from P2. Kyle Busch has now found himself up inside the top 5. We haven't seen a whole lot of him today except for the very start. Now as the green flag is back out and we are underway here with about 30 or so laps to go in the second stage. So really after this 30 laps or so, it's when it finally starts to get real. You're just really just surviving through turns or through stage 1 in stage 2 here when you're in the final 4, and especially when it's a 100% length race. You're just kind of there for the ride and just making sure you're just not too far behind going into that 3rd and final stage now. Is really the main goal is to keep Keselowski in my view, and obviously we have done a great job of that here today now as we come through out of turn 4. Kyle Busch getting into that mix behind us. Kevin Harvick all the way on the bottom. He's going to come through to move up into the 2nd position. You can just see that I just struggled quite significantly here on the short runs with the speed in the car, and it was pretty evident that I think if we had a late scrap with Brad Keselowski, like a 5-lap scrap or even an overtime, I just don't have the speed in the car to be able to fight. Though I am confident in an overtime scenario now, as I can definitely get it turned to quite up hard now as we come through turns 4. At this point on lap 58, Keselowski had driven away, and we were running still in P3 behind Kevin Harvick with 19 laps to go here in stage 2, and it was, like I said, starting to get into my head a little bit that maybe we just don't have the speed here for Brad Keselowski. Now as we came through on lap 62, I had a chance to go to the inside of Kevin Harvick for P2, and then the caution actually comes out again here on the 2nd stage, so this would force once again another restart. No pit stop necessary for this one, so we would be staying out and getting ready to go green now as we would be back up to the back of Brad Keselowski for the restart. So now we have an opportunity to maybe steal a stage victory. I'm more confident here now as the tires have worn quite a bit that we might have a little bit more to give for Brad Keselowski here now as we're ready to go back green. The green flag is out, 12 laps to go here in the 2nd stage. The main goal is to just get to the end of the stage without crashing the car, and we should not really have a problem with that now as we go down into turns 1. Harvick gets a little bit slow through turns 1, and I'm hoping that we can clear him on the exit of turn 2. Sure enough, we clear the Stewart-Haas champion now as we exit turn 2 with Keselowski in my sight. Do I make a move to the inside for the lead? We're right on the back of him. I decide no, we're going to go down into turn 3 and just get the car up a little bit higher, running a little bit lower there on the entrance of the corner than I usually have, and then we push up towards the exit of turns 4 now as we go down this front straightaway, but looking to put the fight to the back of Brad Keselowski here with 11 to go in this 2nd stage. As you can see on the pit lane, there's 2 dots. 2 drivers have DNF. We know one of them is Denny Hamlin. I think the other one might have been Cody Ware, if I'm not mistaken, now as we come through out of turns 2. But we know Kurt Busch, the other Final 4 driver, he's still in this race, but he's just been running in the lower part of the top 10 most of the day. Now as we come through to lap 72, just a handful of laps to go in the 2nd stage. We have the run on Keselowski. We put the pressure on him side by side for the lead here down on the front straightaway into turns 1. Harvick there about maybe a half a second back at most as we come through turns 1 and 2, and we clear Keselowski for the lead to my surprise now as we exit turns 2, and now here we are in command in the late laps of this 2nd stage in Homestead, Miami. So we know that the longer we are on these tires, the more speed we have, but Keselowski gets to the inside of me through turns 3 and turns 4. He almost made contact with my left rear quarter panel as we exit turns 4 side by side for the lead. He doesn't want to give it up, but we have the momentum to stay ahead of Keselowski as we come through to just 2 to go now here in stage 2. Keselowski would be able to stick with me though as we came through out of turns 4. You can see him there just right in my rear view mirror as we start the final lap in stage 2, looking to get a stage victory here in Miami. We came up a little bit short there in stage 1, and hopefully we can change that around here in stage 2 as we run up top through turns 1 and turns 2 a little bit higher than usual, and now too high as we're into the wall on the exit of turns 2. Contact with our contender of Keselowski. He hangs onto it, and so do I. As we go down into turns 3, Keselowski is going to steal the stage victory from myself here as we come through turns 3 and out of turns 4 for the final time in stage 2. Keselowski runs away with the stage victory. We come through to cross the line in P2. A complete mental error from myself, all on me there as I clipped the wall out of turns 2. Just a simple mental mistake, and I was pretty embarrassed about it. Unfortunate that it happened, but we only damaged the car just a tiny bit on the visual part of the game. It wasn't actually performance impacting now as we would pit though for 2 cans of fuel as well as 4 tires and get ready to go green for the 3rd and final stage here, and hopefully at the end of the stage we'll be out front winning this race. We win the race off of pit road though, getting ready to start the 3rd and final stage. We know what we are capable of here, and now as the 3rd and final stage is underway, myself, Brad Keselowski, 2 drivers fighting for a championship here in the final 4 are side by side for the lead as we go down into turns 1. Kurt Busch, the other final 4 contender, he's down in the bottom part of the top 10, and as obvious, you guys know at this point, Denny Hamlin is no longer in this race here as we go down this backstretch. Hamlin DNF'd in the first stage, which was quite a while ago now earlier in the video, as we are, like I said, doing a 100% race. You can see here over 100 laps to go still, so definitely plenty of time for anything to happen at this point. Who knows if we get lucky, Keselowski, Kurt Busch, they both DNF, and we just get a championship handed to us essentially here as we go down into turns 1. Keselowski, though, kind of falling down a little bit now as he is under pressure from Erik Jones there to drop down to P4, and then I actually lose the lead to Kevin Harvick, just proving that the short run speed still isn't there in the car, but we fight back to the outside. A little bit of a side draft on him as I went down into turn 3 just to try and get what I could and pull him back to myself just a little bit here now as we come through turns 3 and out of turns 4 now as Keselowski gets to my left rear. Erik Jones passes me for second place, and we've seen the same drivers up front all race. Kevin Harvick, Brad Keselowski, Erik Jones, and then kind of Martin Truex Jr. and Joey Logano kind of get up into the mix here and there now as we're 3 wide through turns 1 and 2 with Truex and Keselowski as we exit turn 2, and now we drop down to second place in the final 4 battle to our competitor of Brad Keselowski here as we go down into turns 3 and 4. So now as we came to the lap 170, Keselowski had pulled away from myself a little bit. He had climbed up to P3, and Joey Logano had actually gotten up to the lead at this point. So Logano out front for the first time here today in Homestead at Miami now as we come through now on lap 175, battling 3 wide with Erik Jones and Kevin Harvick as we went down into turn 3. Martin Truex Jr. holds on to P3, but you can see now Keselowski had fought his way through to the lead and taken it away from his Penske teammate and 2-time champion in the NASCAR Heat 4 career mode of Joey Logano now as we come through with just 92 laps to go, 176 complete, so we're getting to closer to the point of now having to focus in and get ready for the final stretch of this race. Now, is once we hit lap 200, that's when I think really things get turned up, because that's going to be the same amount of laps left as a 25% race here or so in Homestead, Miami, if I remember correctly. So now, like I said, we're getting ready to close in on that time of having to be ultra focus mode now as we clear Martin Truex Jr. down into turns 1, not knowing how long this stage is going to go green. Obviously, knowing it will be the final stage, there's no guaranteed yellow, so I want to make sure that we don't let Brad Keselowski quite get away from me now as he's in that battle with his teammate from Penske Racing of Joey Logano, and we just slowly, ever so slightly, we're reeling him, Keselowski and Logano in, but then you see we get a caution here with 89 laps to go. A bunch of drivers behind us decided they were going to come to the pit lane. I decided we're going to stay out and just do whatever Brad Keselowski does. I did not want to get really on a different strategy compared to Brad Keselowski, so like I said, I decided we're going to stay out and get ready to go green here from P3 behind Joey Logano, who controls the restart. Keselowski starting on the outside. Could be an opportunity for myself to get out in front of him here as we go down towards turns 1, and maybe if I wanted to, I could have taken it 3 wide down into turns 1, but decided a little bit better of that. Wanted to be a little bit smarter now here as we come through turns 1 and 2, and we might just clear the 2 of Keselowski. No, he fights back there on the right side, side by side with our championship competitor here down the back straightaway. So we know that it looks like at this point it's going to be a fight right down to the end here of this race with Brad Keselowski, as he has been around us this whole time now, as we haven't been in a comfortable position at all yet here today in Miami. But we clear him out of turn 4 down the backstretch, and at this point I saw an opportunity. Hopefully he would stay up top and we could kind of get him a little bit mired back down in traffic as we came through turns 1 and 2, and he runs up all the way by the wall, and he would, sure enough, fade a little bit. He dropped down to P4 here on that 184 now as I was up in the mix with his Penske teammate of Joey Logano, trying to make a pass on him for the lead. We look to the outside of Logano, and I see behind me Keselowski seems to be fading just a little bit, and I don't think it's the speed in the car. I just think it's him being straight up stuck behind Kevin Harvick. So I was doing what I could to get past Joey Logano. We come through hitting lap 186 side by side with Logano as we clear him down into turns 1. Now as he's going to fight back though on that inside, you know he's not going to give up easily. It's Joey Logano that we're talking about here now, one of the most aggressive drivers in the Cup Series. Now as we hit the wall on the exit of turns 2, a big mistake from myself. We damaged the right side, and it's enough to be performance impacting there, as you saw the yellow on the car display now on the right side of the car as we drop down to P5 and give the championship lead back to Brad Keselowski. My own mistake. At this point of recording, it was probably closer to 3 a.m. At this point now, so I was definitely feeling pretty tired, to say the least. At this point now, as we would make a pass though on Martin Truex Jr. and then fight back though, thankfully, to the back of Keselowski. So even though we had this damage on the car, it was not the end of the world for us, because we look to the outside now of Brad Keselowski as we go down into turns 3, trying my best to make the pass on him, but couldn't quite complete it. We come through to lap 199 now, and Kevin Harvick was now losing that second position to Keselowski, and then again, I hit the outside wall there on the exit of turns 2, making these silly mental mistakes all on myself there. It wasn't the car's handling, I didn't get loose or anything, hit the wall, but then the caution comes out with 69 laps to go. Very nice. Now, as everybody would be coming to the pit lane except for Ryan Newman, who brought out the caution, it would be the end of the race there from Ryan Newman, as we would pit for 2 cans of fuel, 4 tires. Very happy that the caution came out, because this also means that we can repair the damage on the right side of the car, but it clearly didn't impact us too much, because we were still there in the mix to be able to contend with Keselowski. So we know that we're going to have a very solid chance here, hopefully at winning the championship now, as we're ready to go green. As we actually dropped down 4 positions, we had Suarez stay out. Newman, I'm sorry, was not out of the race. Newman was still in the race, so he stays out, and now we'll restart P1 as the green flag is back out, and we are once again underway now with 65 laps to go. So my bad, Ryan Newman did not DNF, and he's back in this race with the front position, so it doesn't even look like he actually caused a caution. So I actually don't know who caused that one now as we come to out of turns 2, right on the back of our championship competitor of Keselowski, Kurt Busch. At this point, completely written him off. He is not going to be a factor. So it's just down between myself and the Penske driver of Brad Keselowski. It's experience in a championship versus youth in no championship. There's we go 4 wide there for a moment with Almirola, Eric Jones, and Bubba Wallace as we're 3 wide down this front straightaway. We pass Keselowski in the process, go to the outside of our rival of Suarez, going a little bit risky there, as Suarez had every chance in the world to put myself in the wall, but we make it work. Keselowski kind of stuck in traffic now as we're going 3 wide up between Almirola there and Newman. We pass them, and we seem to be a lot more aggressive than Brad Keselowski was on that restart, and that could be a huge role here in the outcome of this race here tonight in Homestead, Miami. So we were up now into P3 as we're going to go into an amped section here as we go down into turns 1 with Kyle Busch just behind myself. Joey Logano, though, still out front now with Kevin Harvick in second, but we actually can't amp it up because we get a caution here as we run P3, which is going to be Brad Keselowski's chance to make up that lost ground now, as we were looking pretty good. We would pit for some fuel again, and I was debating taking tires or not. I decide we're going to take no tires and just put enough fuel in the car to make it to the end of the race. I was a little bit concerned, obviously, will the AI take tires or not? And I could have thrown the race right there if it did not go our way, but thankfully it goes our way. We come out P3 and get ready to go green now as we are underway here behind Joey Logano and Kevin Harvick now on lap 210. And for the restart, we're going to get amped once again.
Still there.
Alright, there you had our second amped section of this race. Now as it came to lap 221, Keselowski just didn't seem to have the fight in the car that he had this whole race now, as he was mired back through traffic. He had 3 to 4 cars between himself and I. So we were in a great position now all of a sudden with 46 laps to go. We lead the final 4 as we go down into turns 1. We've led a decent chunk of laps here today in Miami, not a whole lot. Now as we go down through turns 1 and turns 2, Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick running P1, P2, but obviously we're right up here now in the mix for the lead and potentially what could be a battle for the race win. Like I said, we don't know if we're going to get another caution or not. I was hoping at this point it would stay green, but at the same time I'm kind of wouldn't mind a caution to spice things up. But just looking at my view, I wanted it to stay green because we were looking great compared to Brad Keselowski here with 45 laps to go as we go down into turns 1 side by side with the Penske driver of Joey Logano. We're trying to get out front and check out away from the field here as we come through turns 1 and out of turns 2 side by side with Logano. We clip the wall there on the exit of turns 2. We hit Kevin Harvick down the back straightaway. We hang on to the car. Did not do enough damage to impact the performance, so we get right back into the fight here with Harvick and Logano there as we're going to be 3 wide down the back straightaway for the lead here, which could be a race-winning move if it stays green and we play our cards correctly as we go down into turns 3. Logano, Harvick still up the inside as we come through turns 3 and turns 4. Just don't want to knock the wall down here. Now as Logano is going to fall down into P3, and it's going to be myself and Kevin Harvick side by side now at the lead here at the line for the lead here on lap 230 of 267. We come through to a lap later now on lap 231 through turns 3 and turns 4, still side by side with Harvick for that front position as we exit the corner, but we have the momentum and down the front straightaway. We might clear Harvick here with 36 to go. Sure enough, we clear Kevin Harvick for P1 finally as we dive it into turns 1. He would send it though back up the inside, trying his best to put the fight to myself here, but out of turns 2 once again we have enough momentum to stay clear of Kevin Harvick. So now in a great position to control potentially the rest of the race now as we're going to find ourselves here in lap traffic. Joey Gase, Corey LaJoie up in this mix here, running in obviously terrible positions now as we exit turns 4, and they behind us, Harvick and Jones it was, or Logano, sorry, kind of got stuck in traffic there as they go down into turns 1 up to check up for Ryan Truex because he decides to take my lane as we come through turns 1 and 2. A little bit of contact there on his right rear as we come through out of the corner, but just trying to get through the lap traffic as quickly as possible and hope that the drivers behind us struggle, but we were in a great position. When we come to lap 245, a little bit over 20 to go at this point now, looking to the outside, Jimmy Johnson in his final race of the career mode. As I make a mistake through turns 2, we hit the wall, we hit Johnson, we're slipping and sliding all over the track. Big contact with the 38 of David Ragan now, as we have a good chunk of damage on the outside, and then we get hit from behind from Joey Logano, but somehow after all of that, we hold on to the lead as that could have been a complete disaster there for our chances here in Miami now, as the car is definitely damaged, but I think we still have a car capable of hanging on here with 22 laps to go, but we completely screwed up turns 2 and I almost nearly gave away the whole race now, but we would hang on as Eric Jones had climbed up now into P2. Now we come through to just 10 laps to go. The green flag still out at this point, and obviously I had a chance to calm down and just focus now as we came to lap 262, hitting lap 263. Only 5 laps to go here in Homestead, Miami. Keselowski had such a great car, and now all of a sudden just things turned completely against him in this final stage, and it went completely in our favor now, as everything has kind of gone in our favor there, as Keselowski was battling for a top 5 position. We come to just 3 laps to go of this 100% race. We've never won a championship in the Cup Series. We've never won a race in Homestead, Miami. As we come through turns 1 and 2, we put Clint Boyer a lap down and get to the outside of Brendan Gaughan as well, just hoping that no caution comes out. We come to just 2 laps to go now, and now at this point we just pray that we can make it to the white flag without a caution. There you see Tyler Reddick up in front of me running P13, and we're about to put this guy a lap down here as we go down the back straightaway. A lap and a half to go though. Now Eric Jones obviously too far back to run us down if it stays green. Now as we come through turns 3 and 4 for the final time, we're going to look to the inside of Tyler Reddick. Just please let us get to the line now as we come through down the front straightaway. The white flag is in the air. The next flag will end the race, and hopefully it's not for us crashing here as we come through turns 1 and turns 2. We've had a couple interesting moments in this race where we nearly gave everything away, and so many things have gone in our favor though. Denny Hamlin DNF'd early in stage 1 of the fastest cars here. Keselowski had the next best car, at least after him, if not the best car in general, but faded in the 3rd and final stage, and it played completely into our hands through turns 3 out of turns 4. After 267 laps, we're going to come through to win our first Cup Series championship.
Black and white, in the air, the checker flag, good job.
Unbelievable after 267 laps. I hope you guys stuck around first of all for that and enjoyed it. Obviously the community requested quite a lot for me to do a 100% race. and it ended up working out very well for us, so I'm very happy about that, obviously. Like I said, when you do a race that long, there's so many variables that can go wrong, and I'm just really happy that we were able to come out on top of it instead of, say, finishing 3rd or 4th in the Final Four. Now, obviously, the 3rd and final stage was a little bit calmer than probably expected. Obviously, we did have a moment there where we nearly threw the race completely away, and that would have been really, really embarrassing. That would have been typical Gary Owen fashion, though, if I did throw it away now. But I hope you guys definitely enjoyed that one. Obviously, in the Heat 5 career mode, it'll be 25% races again. In the Cup Series, as well as the Truck Series and Xfinity Series will actually be shorter than that. We're going to be just grinding through the Truck Series. I want to get like half the Truck season done in the first video of the Heat 5 career mode. I'm going to do whatever I can for that. Now, as we're going to progress the Cup as quickly as we possibly can now, without grinding too hard. Of course, you see the finishing order on your screen now, as there you see Matt DiBenedetto down in P31, Denny Hamlin obviously down in last, 212 laps down. So very unfortunate for the Joe Gibbs driver of Hamlin. Kurt Busch finished 10th. Keselowski down in P6, who was the closest Final Four competitor to myself. There, as you see, we did have actually an angle there of one of the drivers wrecking. It was Cody Ware. I just completely skipped over that or something when I was looking through the replays. But there you see the Monster Energy Cup Series trophy. The final time you're going to get that trophy, because obviously NASCAR Heat 5, it'll be just the NASCAR Cup Series instead of the Monster Energy Cup Series. I did not think, honestly, we were going to win this championship compared to Denny Hamlin, but we did pull it off, so I'm so thankful that we did. And before we end this video, we're going to show my stats as well as other driver stats here that I made up really quick in a spreadsheet. Now, I'm assuming you guys can guess which driver got the most wins. Denny Hamlin can confirm, but we're going to see how many career wins he has here in just a moment. Now, it's congratulations, you won the championship. We might have a few video messages maybe here from some drivers now. We don't get those very often anymore, but we might, like I said, get one right here. But thank you all, like I said, though, for sticking around this whole series. I would have loved to do some more seasons, but obviously NASCAR Heat 5 comes out in like a day, so got to get ready for that. Now, as I'm very excited to go back into a new NASCAR Heat game, a roof camera I'm very excited for. I'll be using that all the time now, as we, like I said, might have some video messages. Or we have a news thing. Gary Owen shocks the world and wins the Monster Energy Cup Series, or Monster Energy Series Championship now. So finally, we win a Cup Series Championship. It took us a long time to do that.
Congratulations, NASCAR champion. You gotta admit, that sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Congratulations.
I love how he's a rival and he's all angry.
Holy cow, you just won the championship. That is so incredible. You are awesome.
Or sorry, I meant I love how he's a rival and he's all happy with me.
Congratulations, NASCAR champion. I was pulling for you the whole time.
All right, there's the end of the video messages. Thank you, Almirola, Logano, Alex Bowman. Some drivers not happy, some drivers are. Keselowski not happy. I decided it's the last episode of the NASCAR Heat 4 career mode. I'm going to provoke him. And same for Daniel Suarez, who was our rival for most of the final season of the NASCAR Heat 4 career mode. So, what a way to end things, though, with the championship. So happy that we managed to pull that off. But we got to do one final thing here before we end the NASCAR Heat 4 career mode officially, and that is just quickly have the driver's stats brought up on the screen. First, we're going to show my stats. So, obviously, it was a pretty good career in the Monster Energy Cup Series. We had quite a bit of wins, not as many as I was hoping. We had a lot of second place, a lot of choked wins. I have a bit of a habit of choking victories away. But now, let's see our stats here after all those seasons. So, in the Cup Series is really where we want to look. 17 Cup Series wins, 64 top 5s, 106 top 10s. We had 988 laps led, so if we would have led 12 more in that race there in Miami, we would have actually led 1,000 laps and only 2 poles, but 149 races. It would have been cool if we could have done one more race. That would have put us at 150, but hopefully in NASCAR Heat 5, we can do more than 150 Cup Series races there. As you're going to have to pause your screen and maybe zoom in a little bit there. I kind of messed that up there with the actual driver stats, but I can tell you now, Denny Hamlin notably ended his career with 60 wins in the NASCAR Heat 4 career mode. Kyle Busch, 77. So big for them. They both won a lot of races. Martin Truex Jr. had 30, Joey Logano 23, Jimmy Johnson had like 85, but I'm not sure if you guys could see that very well or not. But either way, thank you for everybody for watching the NASCAR Heat 4 career mode. It's helped this channel so much over the last year, and I'm so thankful for it. NASCAR Heat 5 coming right up to you guys here, and I'm very excited to bring it to you. So once again, thank you for watching, everybody, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day.